What a mess. Oh, hey guys. Thanks for coming by. I wanted to do a really quick update video to expound upon the community post I put up a number of days ago about me being in a hospital. And this time, at least, it wasn't a mental hospital, as far as you know. So what ended up happening was, as you know, I did the Georgia trip, and that went off like normal. I left last Tuesday, I think it was. And I always take 2 days to get up, get it up there. Yeah, because, it's just hard on me. Get it up and hard. Yeah, this video is going to get demonetized. There's no question about it. And so I got up to Macon and everything was fine. That was on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, there was a front schedule to come through. So I was looking at the weather and I was thinking to myself, well, it should be okay even if there's a little rain. I don't really care. It's going to get cool, but probably after we get up there. My riding buddy was several hours behind me, so I got up there on Wednesday, but that was not without some challenges. The weather was turning about the time I got to Dahlonega, Georgia. And that's where like 19 hits 60 up there, and then when 60 is a pretty twisty road, which is why it's fun to ride. And I'm on a concourse, which is right to the right of you, and I have the trailer behind me, and I have had challenges with my eyes, but my eyes worked great, with these prism glasses and the changes that have been made there. And so I had heavy fog, I had wet roads. It was more of a misty rain, luckily. And maybe on a good spot, about a 50-foot visibility on those curvy roads, pulling a trailer behind this 600-pound behemoth. But no issues, I took my time and got up to the cabin, up at Two Wheels of Suches, unloaded the trailer, and I discussed it with my riding buddy that I would run back out to the Walmart that's down in Dahlonega and stock up on stuff. So I ended up doing that, and that was a little bit of a challenge too, because I had to redo all the riding in that crap weather. But again, it was not terrible. So I kind of felt proud of myself. I was able to do that, especially with the vision issues I've had in the past. So he gets up there, and we talked for a while and had something to eat, and then went to bed. And, I don't know, wee hours of the morning, I remember I kind of rolled over, and I felt like, not palpitations, but I felt like my heart was beating differently. Now, I don't want to get into too much technical jargon. You know what I used to do for a living, being, a porn star. I mean paramedic, yeah. And I can read an EKG. That's why I have an Apple Watch that has the EKG function, so I can monitor my own rate. And that morning I looked at it, and it was definitely an EKG change. It wasn't fast, wasn't slow, and it was not irregular. It was very regular. In fact, it was locked in at around 65, 66 beats a minute, solid, no matter what I did. And it was beating pretty much ventricularly, so the lower parts of the heart. Now, if you're familiar with pacemakers at all, which at that point I was on my second one, pacemakers are generally set up like either something like an AV sequential, or atrial ventricular sequence goes on as far as the software and the logic in it. And so it looks and sees if you have a normal beat. If you have a normal beat, it doesn't do nothing. If it's a demand pacer, if it's a fixed pacer, it paces all the time. Mine is in demand mode. So generally speaking, my situation is it pretty much paces almost all the time. There's very few intrinsic or normal beats that go on from the conduction system in the atria. So that would be normal, but it wasn't normal. But I did see some normal beats in there, in regular QRS complexes that I could recognize on my watch, and I'm like, I don't quite understand. It's like cyclic. It goes through a pattern where I feel it, and it kind of takes my breath away. It's very uncomfortable when it paces ventricularly like that, because I think it's pacing, I don't know what kind of voltage, but it's banging you pretty good. And then it cycles back, and you have a little run of normal beats, and you feel normal, and it goes in and out, in and out, in and out. So that was, again, Thursday morning. So we rode that day because I wasn't sure what was going on. and I had no problem. It was a good ride. I mean, the weather, it was cold that morning. It was really cold. It was like in the 30s, high 30s. So it warmed up pretty quick. Me and my riding buddy got on the bike, and we had a good day riding. But, as the day went on, I'm like, there is something going on here. So the next morning, I made the decision. What would that be? Friday morning, made the decision. I'm going to have to go home. I said, there is something wrong here, and I need to get back to my cardiologist and my healthcare network locally. And I didn't think there'd be a problem with that, and there was no problem with that because, I can tell what it is. I mean, I knew what rhythm it was. It was obviously a paced rhythm. So I went home, and so I did the same thing two days to get home, and then got home, and that was Saturday. On Sunday morning, I really didn't feel good at all. I mean, if I bent down to pick something up off the floor and stood back up even slowly, man, I got really lightheaded. I was like, whoa, I just didn't feel good. So I call a buddy of mine who's actually my old boss on the fire department. We hang out still. The other night, night before last, we went up to Tampa and saw the Dice Man at Side Splitters Comedy Club, which was effing awesome. If you got a chance to see Dice Clay, do it because he's badass. And so he took me to the hospital on Sunday. I asked him to do that. He came down and got me. I went to the ER at Sarasota Memorial. And luckily, the ER physician that was attending that day was a guy that had been there for years, that Dr. Gerber, his name is Dr. Gerber, and Joel Gerber. And I'd known him forever because, hell, he was there when I was taking patients in there years ago, paramedic. And so it was great. He's like, oh my God, what are you guys doing here? He recognized both of us and explained the situation. He evaluated me. They brought down the girl from upstairs, cardiology, with her stupid little monitor for Medtronic, which is my device manufacturer, which couldn't even read it. I mean, it was like shut off as far as allowing it to be interrogated. That's what it's called when you read a pacemaker. It's called interrogation. Not like when you put a light on someone and go, where were you on the night of whatever? That's a different interrogation. But this kind of interrogation is it goes in there and say, okay, what's your status? How are you working? What's your battery life? Things like that. So she couldn't do that. So I had to wait quite a while, and I finally got admitted. Or it was outpatient admission, if you will, because they suspected that the pacemaker battery had finally taken a shit, basically. And I said, I don't know how that can be, because I go to a cardiologist regularly. And the cardiologist I was going to, I went to in June. And at that time, we knew the battery was getting down there, but it showed 10 months to the year left on it. So that was in June. So July, August, so 4 months. Figure it had a minimum of 6 months left on it. Now, what I've been told by my cardiologist was, because I asked him at that visit, well, what's the threshold for the insurance paying for a new device? He said 3 months. It's got to be 3 months or less. So, yeah, you can do the math yourself. It should have had at least 3 months out of a 6-month run, but it didn't. So what it did was it went into a thing called a VVT mode, and I don't want to get into explaining that because I don't 100% understand it. I had to look that up online as far as what it meant. But that's kind of like a limp mode. If you consider like an ECU or an engine control unit or a PCM on a vehicle, and you have sensor failure, you have other failures like that, it'll go into a mode like that. And that's what it was doing. So it was just concentrating on pacing the ventricles at a set rate to make sure that you stay alive and functioning. And then it turned off all other stuff. So sensing, beat sensing, turned all that crap off to save energy, save power. And that's why she couldn't read it with her stupid little device. And it was just, I don't know why they do that crap. Those things are stupid. So finally, the Medtronic rep came in with this big machine that I'm used to seeing, the big computer thing, flip up, and, has the wire. This was a wireless unit that she had. This is a wired, what do they call it, a transducer that talks to the pacemaker. He was able to interrogate it. He said, yeah, that battery's down to nothing. Like, it's got to be changed now. Now, when they talk about changing batteries in pacemakers, it really is not a battery change. It's a generator change. They change the whole thing. So you need a new battery. No, you don't. You need a whole new pacemaker. So that was done on Monday. Monday afternoon rather. So I was in overnight and I got it done later on Monday because the cath lab was slammed that day with both emergencies and scheduled stuff, and they were kind of trying to squeeze me in. A different cardiologist did it because my cardiologist, turns out, which I didn't realize, that he had moved down further south and didn't practice out of that hospital anymore. Been nice to know, but that's okay. And so I'm going to be seeing this guy. Did a great job and put it back, and I went home that night. There was some drama in regards to that part of it, but I can't get into it now because it's going to involve complaints, maybe even, I hope not, litigation, but we'll hopefully be able to avoid that. But as far as the care I got at the hospital was excellent. I have no complaints at all. They took really good care of me. And so I have another Medtronic unit that's actually Bluetooth compatible or capable. I haven't received all the information I need to hook that up to the smartphone, but it'll send regular reports to Medtronic and my chosen physician at that point as to how the device is doing. So as far as what I'm doing right now is there's two things. First of all, the shorter term. I have an incision here where they make a pocket and they shove the device into, and of course that's nothing new. This is my third unit now because I've had them ever since 2004. And so we got to let that heal up. This area is very tender. There's no restrictions officially from the cardiologist. He just said use common sense. So I can lift stuff, I can pick stuff up, but I don't want to take the sidecar rig out or a motorcycle out or anything, and something happened and it jerked the bars and I was trying to restrain it. I don't want to pull something out. So I'm going to let this heal for a couple weeks, or as long as I feel necessary, maybe only a week, I don't know. And then we'll get back out and do some, I can run around on the sidecar and test out the VFR, from this last video I put up. I don't know what sequence this will be in, but, for the carb work and coils and stuff I just did. So we'll get to that when I feel comfortable with riding. Long term's a different story. Not in a nutshell, I pretty much decided to retire from long distance riding, long distance trips. It seems that every time I plan one, something happens. Either I can't go because of a medical problem, the trip gets impacted in some way because of a medical problem, or I have to come back early because of a medical problem or weather. I can't count the number of trips I've made on a motorcycle over the years where I've had to return early because of a storm or because the weather at the destination took a crap. I'm done with it. And with the medical stuff, it's not going to get any better. I'm wearing out, and unless I can stick some new parts in, which can't be done, I guess, besides that, I'm done. So I'm not going to be doing any more long distance trips, unfortunately, which is something I really like to do. But you know what? It gets to a point where it's too much of a pain in the ass. It's too much of a disappointment, and the anguish and the work to plan a trip, the work to put the thing together, get everything loaded and drive, and pain in the ass. So I'm pretty much done with it. Yeah, so that's unfortunate, but I'm okay. You're okay, he's okay, right? But we'll get back to doing more stuff in here and putting more content up soon. I think I mentioned at the end of the VFR, working on the VFR, it's behind you. Can't you see it? It's right behind you. A video that I'm putting up about trying to fix that flat spot and do some other stuff. Then I got a new customer bringing in the XS11. He just called me a little while ago. He said we're on task because he's down south of me. He got whacked pretty good by the storm, but he's going to score some transportation, get it up sometime next week. I'm looking forward to that because I always wanted an XS11 back in the day and never even worked on one before, so it'll be a lot of fun. It got me a factory service manual up in the rack there already, so I'm all ready to go. So speaking of going, I guess that's it on this. I hope it wasn't too long and boring for you, but I wanted to explain the situation, what happened. Do appreciate everybody that reached out and said, we're praying for you, get well, thinking about you, so forth. I really do appreciate that. I only put it up there. I'm not looking for sympathy. I only put it up there because I hadn't put any content out for a while. Kind of wanted to let you know why. So that's why. All right. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Be safe. Take care of yourselves, because you only have so much time before you wear the you-know-what out. Catch you later. Thanks for watching.